Hello, friends, and welcome to today's show. Before I dive in today, I want to just give a reminder. If you are not already subscribed to this show, I encourage you to do that. That way you get notified of our weekly episodes every Monday morning. They just show up as a notification and one of those great reminders. And another great thing, something that I would appreciate, is if you could take a minute to rate and review the show. Share the show with other women that are managing type 1 diabetes through menopause, into menopause. Again, all ages really do hear and get value from the show. But please take a moment and be sure to rate, review, and share the show. It means a lot to us here. So, we are just days away from Christmas. And I know the energy right now is a mix of excitement, pressure, and a little bit of how am I supposed to keep up with all this, right? I'm here. I hear you. I'm right there alongside you. And December has a way of pulling us into a spiral, into a sprint. It feels like we're sprinting to keep up and to get it all done. Now, the pressure is on us. I think it's also a good time to reflect on the meaning of Christmas. Things that, the commercially and societally, we can get pulled into, the material end and the Santa Claus and all of that. Nothing against that magical time of the year, but celebrating the birth of Jesus Christ is the true meaning and the true purpose. And I myself have to do this as well, is to rein it back in and to celebrate Him and what He did for us on the cross. That helps me take a deep breath and to feel very, very grateful for being here. So, as I look back on 2025, one theme keeps rising to the top, and that is doing less. I am guilty of this myself. I tend to have a very busy routine, to-do list. I'm always trying to do more, help more, serve more. I'm learning to say the word no a lot more, especially as I'm getting a little older and wiser. But doing less is not in a lazy way, and it's not in a giving up way either, but in a choosing better. So this is a choice that we can make to, the whole saying, haste makes waste, right? Well, sometimes I feel like I'm being very wasteful with my time and really seeing what the results can be. So again, let's put it all in perspective. And today I want to help both you and myself do that. And I realized something this year. The strongest move you can make coming up in 2026. So we're going to reflect on this past year and what happened, what didn't happen, what we learned. But the strongest move we can make for 2026 might be choosing one thing intentionally to just ease up on, right? To maybe expect less. That doesn't mean lower our expectations, but I think it really is kind of putting it in perspective with what is doable and what is something that's not going to cause you stress or added stress, right? Or added tension. So today I'm sharing my 3 biggest takeaways from this year, 2025. They changed how I train, meaning exercise and move my body, how I recover, and how I think about my midlife health. Again, I am 58 years old, and I'm constantly learning too. And I always look at not only my CGM feedback and that data, but also how my body is speaking to me. And I hope they give you permission. So what I'm going to share today, I hope this gives you permission to walk into the new year with less pressure and more clarity, more clear thinking. And again, prioritizing what truly does matter for your mind, your body, and your spirit. So takeaway number 1, okay, I'm going to start at the top, is switching from HIIT, so this is the high intensity interval training, to strength and restorative workouts. So let me just explain that. My story, for years, especially around the holidays, I was all on more, right? Trying to get in more workouts, doing it harder. I was trying to tip the scale where, again, I was burning more than I was taking in more, because it can get a little wonky and out of control, or we feel like it is. When we're eating different foods, blood sugar is harder to manage. So, and if it wasn't high intensity, again, this is just recently, so this is a new founding path for me just this year. So if it wasn't high intensity, if it didn't, leave me drenched and gasping, I didn't count it as a workout that was worth my time. So I had to tell myself I needed to push harder because December was when everything else in life got harder. But here's what finally hit me in early 2025. This kind of happened over the summertime. My body wasn't responding the way it used to. My numbers were a little harder to gauge. I think it really was the timing and again, the intensity and maybe even, the intensity that was causing low blood sugar. So I was having to do a lot of corrections with, juices and glucose tabs. And again, I'm thankful to have those around. But over time, that just, again, the up and down, the roller coasters really was causing me stress on my body. And that wasn't helping the overall goal, which was to try to stay fit and strong and all the things that we're trying to do just to try to mitigate all of the downward things that can happen with type 1 diabetes, especially when hormones are not what they used to be. And my sleep was restless as well. I wasn't consistently sleeping, and I've always had pretty good sleep, especially now that I've been on hormone replacement. But it was a little, it had some holes in it for sure. And I wasn't recovering. And honestly, I was tired of being tired or just trying so hard and realizing that I was taking a step back rather than just trying to at least stay steady. Not necessarily always having to take a step forward or to, to exceed to any sort of extreme levels. But it really was, I think that's what we want to do. We want to be able to find a happy routine that we feel confident and that we're able to do every day and to obviously experience the results, see the results, and to feel the results. And when we don't, it can get a little icky, right? There wasn't one dramatic moment that made me change. It was more like a quiet stack of clues building up until I couldn't ignore them. So again, sometime during the summer, I think it was June, July, is when this kind of just dawned on me that, so I tried something different. Instead of the HIIT, so these are the high intensity interval training workouts. So this is going hard, a lot of cardio, a lot of fast pace. I switched from doing a lot of strength training, so going heavy up to 5 days a week, to taking a step back and doing heavy training 2 to 3 days a week. And then I would have about one extra day that I was doing lighter weights, more reps. Again, working more on muscle endurance than I was trying to power through with the heavy lifting. I realized that lifting heavy 2 to 3 days a week is all my body needs, and it's really all it needs at this age, at my age. And what's more important is the recovery time. Again, it comes back to the sleep, because again, if I'm pushing too hard, putting too much stress on my body, expecting too much at 58 years old, there's going to be a backward slide on that. Again, I was looking at the big picture of how it was affecting not only blood sugar, my sleep, my energy, and my mind, because I wasn't feeling like the time I was spending was panning out. It was giving me back what I wanted. So I stopped treating easy as a failure, because it wasn't a failure. It was just taking a step back and just honoring where my body was. And the crazy part, my results got better. Again, I stayed consistent with the timing of my workouts. I've always been active. I take a walk in the morning. I try to stop throughout the day and do some things around the house, maybe take another dog walk, get on the rower. We have a water rower in our living room, believe it or not, and I can hop on there for 8-10 minutes in between sessions with clients and whatnot on the computer. So those are things I can kind of filter in, and that works out really good. Steady state, moving consistently throughout the day. Not only keeps our blood sugar stable, but I think it helps us mentally. We got to step away from the desk and focus on something else, step outside, get my feet in the grass, go check in the garden, see how my tomatoes are doing. My tomato garden's doing a little bit better than it had been earlier in the year. Believe it or not, December in Florida, and my tomatoes are now growing, which is, to me, I thought we were past the season, but I'm celebrating the tomatoes. So anyway, on a side note, but yeah, just taking a step aside and appreciating those things that are happening. So again, the results have been more stable numbers, better strength gains. I am getting stronger. Again, it's that time away from the weights and the weight training that we actually recover, and the rest is where the the actual muscle gain happens. The recovery is where the progress shows up. It's not in tearing down the muscles, which is what we're doing with heavy weights, but it's the rest time that the muscles get to recover and to really, prosper, and I also noticed a calmer mood. I think, just being able to step away and not feel so anxious about, what I was doing and the results, because I'm a woman, I get it. We're always kind of checking, in with ourselves and just making sure that it's all worth it. I was having fewer blood sugar crashes. Again, I was staying more consistent, so I wasn't having to over-treat maybe the cortisol spikes that were happening with the heavy lifting, over-treating that around training time with an extra unit or two, and then within an hour or two, I was starting to trend low before dinner time. And again, just recognizing what's happening, why it's happening, and ways that we can tweak it, right? So more days where my body felt like it was working with me instead of resisting me. So that is what I'm seeing and experiencing now. So this season we're in right now proves something. Enough will take you further than maxed out, okay? So know what your body needs, find out what that is, figure that out. It's very individual for each of us. But take the time to experiment with that and to take the time to sit back and watch and to witness, those results and again, how you're feeling. And if that feels true for you too. So ask yourself, if you drop the pressure to go all out, what might open up for you in the new year? Just ask yourself that. So what's something that maybe you're trying too hard, like I did? Recognizing that and taking a step back and just asking yourself, what can I let go of to take that pressure off? So my second takeaway of 2025 that I'm going to build on and learn from is why less intensity works better in midlife. So again, midlife is 40 and above, 50 and above. I'm not real sure what that magic age is that terms what midlife is, but you understand what I'm saying, right? So this takeaway came straight out of living it, because the truth is midlife, okay, I'm 58, like I mentioned, midlife physiology changes the rules. Our hormones shift. Our recovery, like I was mentioning before, it slows down. We need more restorative sleep. Sleep becomes so impactful, not only to feel good the next day, but again, to give our body, our digestive system, all the systems in the body to heal and to rest, and just tapping into that. Your nervous system carries more load from real life stress, right? And the body becomes less tolerant of constant intensity. Again, that is the downside of aging. And again, a lot of that comes with, the different areas of cortisol and obviously blood sugar and how that mixes in. But obviously we also know that estrogen, testosterone, progesterone, all those magical hormones that we love. And if you're like me, you have jumped on board with hormone replacement, which I am a big advocate of. And if this is something that you're still curious about, maybe that's something you're going to look at closer in the new year, definitely keep in touch and reach out if you have any questions, or just stay right here on the show. And again, subscribe to the show, because we are going to continue to have more conversations about hormone replacement. I used to believe that the solution was to push past it. Now I understand the opposite is true. So when cortisol stays high, everything gets harder. Our blood sugar, our sleep, our mood and attitude, right? Our muscle repair. And high intensity is a guaranteed cortisol spike. And again, cortisol is there. It's there to protect us. The release of glucose from the liver is there to help protect us. And being mindful of that, it's not the enemy, but keeping it in perspective, and again, being aware of when it's happening, why it's happening, and what you can do to lessen the impact. Because the cortisol spikes is also blood sugar spikes. It's also hormonal shifts. And that up and down is really what causes so many issues in all of our lives and our thinking and, our relationships and everything. And that isn't bad on its own, okay? What's bad is stacking it on top of an already overwhelmed system. So again, we're asking our body to do a lot. I mean, we are our own pancreas, okay? We do the work of a organ in our body that it's just incredible how much we can do manually every day. Again, the insulin pumps definitely help. We get a little help from that. But, the mental and obviously the physical decisions we have to make to act and think like a pancreas it's pretty profound. So put that in perspective too. Our system is overwhelmed just based on all that we are asking from it. And we've got to really recognize that. So this is why women in midlife can work out harder and see fewer results. And it feels unfair, I know, but it's actually just information. And once you have the information, you can adjust. And here's what works better. So here's a couple things to keep in mind. Strength training that respects rest. Like I was saying, I am now doing less heavy weights less often. So I'm being very intentional with those 3 days a week of heavy weights. Again, challenging my muscle systems, all the different muscles in my body, but also honoring the rest. So that day off in between. And the day off does not mean I'm sitting around. I'm still doing a little cardio. I'm still biking. I'm still walking. Doing my jumping jacks. Those are some jumping moves that I'm working out. Again, that's lower intensity. It's fun. And it's also, obviously it's helping us with the blood sugar. So, and another thing to consider, again, strength training that respects the rest. So be mindful of that. And walking that supports metabolism and calms the nervous system. Walking is one of the things that we've got to just tap into. Again, find a good area of whether it's your neighborhood, maybe it's a walking path, maybe it's a treadmill, or tap into it as much as you can. And another thing is mobility and restorative sessions that help sleep and your hormone regulation. Let me say that again. So the mobility, which is the movement, and that whether that's cardio, strength training, all of the above. So those active sessions that we spend time on should help our sleep and initiate sleep and our hormone regulation. Again, we want to work with it and not against it. And actual rest days that aren't an afterthought, right? So don't think, well, I think it's really important that we make a plan around our workout days the best we can, within our routine, around other responsibilities and family life and all of that. But really definitely prioritize the time that you can spend doing it and to be consistent with it. And let me slip in something I keep getting asked about this year, and that is the craze over weighted vests. So there is a full craze around them right now. Some people swear by them for walking or adding light load without going into full strength sessions. So, and yes, they can be very helpful, a helpful tool as us, for us women training. But here's the thing, you don't have to jump on that train unless it feels aligned with you. I haven't added one myself yet. I still don't have one. Maybe I'll put that on my Christmas wish list. Stay tuned for that. But I'm still watching the trend. I'm still listening to my body. And I think that approach is totally valid. So tools are options. They're never obligations. So you'll have to jump over to Instagram and share whether or not you have logged into the weighted vests trend right now and what that's doing for you and how you're feeling and your recovery and all of the things. So love to hear that feedback. And this week before Christmas is the perfect example of why those first two takeaways that I just mentioned. You don't need to fight the pace of the season. You can align with it. You can find a way to make it work with you and not against you. So when you slow your training down during high stress moments, whether it's shopping, cooking, time with family, your body will thank you. So here's your next reflection. So again, my second takeaway was why less intensity works better in midlife. So why is it so important at this stage of life? So what training habit could you soften or simplify as you step into 2026? So what could the next year look like for you and beyond? It's not just January, it's not just 2026, but where can we rethink of what we were doing last year and what we can do differently this year? So what training habit could you soften or take the pressure off? Again, this is very similar to the first prompt. We're kind of stacking these prompts because we want to walk away with the same sort of initiative today and actions too. And the title is going to be Highs, Lows, and Hormones. It's going to be a survival guide for women with diabetes from monthly cycles to menopause. And I'm going to have a chapter specifically that ties to this topic today, movement that matches your hormones. And it's going to be about how you adjust your workouts along with your diet and your eating and, just how you're combining foods, but how you can adjust your workouts and your eating plan as your hormones and your recovery needs change. So how can you do that? Well, I'm going to connect the science with the lived experience in my own story and many women that I've worked with and women from the community that share what's worked and what they've learned about how we can do this better, right? We always want to try to learn and move forward in a positive way. So again, I'm sharing my 3 takeaways, more on the fitness arena today, but as you can tell, it's kind of spilling over into all areas of life. So number 3 is one small shift beats any big resolution. And this really ties into the next year. I think there's a lot of pressure that we've got to straighten up, do it better, knock it out of the park a whole lot better than we did the prior year. But let's zoom out. The end of the year always invites reflection. I think, our blood sugar requires reflection, right? Puzzle. But what is that telling us? Using that is always an invitation to reflect on the day, the week, those 3 months, what that A1C is doing and how did you respond? How did 2025 feel for you when it came to knowing your numbers and how you responded with it? But somewhere along the way, we turn that into pressure for big resolutions, big reinventions, big promises we can't keep. So I think that is the downward spiral that we really want to get out of. And I think it's even more so when you're living with a disease that is constantly being monitored and tested and graded. And we just got to find a way to just kind of keep it more in perspective. So one thing 2025 made clear for me was small shifts win every time. One gentle change to your weekly structure. A consistent, realistic strength routine. So these are a few things that you can do. Some ideas. A real commitment to rest days. Again, putting it on your calendar, saying, okay, this is what I can do. This is what I'm going to give to my body to recover. And to what your body's going to do is it will give back what you are truly needing and expecting, right? 10 minutes at night to wind down instead of going straight from chaos to bed. Just those little things, right? That bedtime routine. Here's another idea, which comes up a lot, deciding on whether hormone therapy should be part of your 2026 plan. So something to think about. And I'm here to help you with that. What information do you still need? What questions are you unsure about when it comes to bringing in hormone therapy? Are there enough benefits to consider? What are the risks? What are all these things that we naturally ask ourselves or a doctor or a girlfriend, wherever it's coming up? But do you have someone who can help you sort the when and how instead of turning it into guesswork? Well, these are the kind of conversations that we have inside of my Type 1 of Midlife. It's a community of women just like you because small shifts don't happen in isolation. They happen with support, clarity, and someone to help you connect the dots. And I'm in there with you. We meet together on a Zoom call every Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, where we bring our updates and questions and our wins and even our struggles, because we help each other work through those struggles. And so ask yourself, what is one shift you want to make in 2026? It feels doable. That your body will thank you for, that will be relieving, not overwhelming. So what is that one shift that you can do or something you can do differently in 2026? Now, I've got some practical ideas for the next 2 weeks. I know it's getting close to Christmas. Before we rush into January, I think it's really a good idea. Sometimes there's a little bit more downtime when we have some holiday time, right after Christmas. That week before Christmas and New Year's tends to be kind of a reset time. I know it is for a lot of us. We may have more time off for work or less demands from outside things. So it's kind of that time to break until the new year starts. But these next 2 weeks are actually the perfect testing grounds. So it's a calmer, slower, more aligned approach works during the holidays, and it will definitely work in regular life. So again, things we can carry over into the new year without any repercussions. Here are a few simple swaps, some things that you can consider. Again, we've talked about a lot of different ideas in this hour, but I want you to walk away with a few simple swaps. So replace one HIIT hardcore session with a strength session. Again, it's definitely going to serve your body. We love the muscle. Blood sugar loves the muscles. Hormones love the muscle. So definitely add at least one more strength session that is challenging for the muscles. Again, work with a trainer if this is something that you're not quite sure how to approach, but you want to do it safely and within limits for your own safe, within your own space and fitness level. Another idea is to swap a long workout for a walk. So maybe cutting it short, not going to the gym, but getting outside, enjoying some fresh air, some sunshine. Again, the dog's going to get a lot of extra walks this year, it sounds like, if we follow through with what we're talking about. Or walk yourself, put on a podcast. It's a perfect time to listen to the show or listening to a book. Hoping to have my book on audio. That will probably happen at some point. I don't know when, but stay tuned. But again, some things that you can do for yourself. But again, swap the long, hard workout for something like a pleasure walk to really, really help soothe your body. And again, your time. Do a restorative session before bed. Something like a gentle stretching, some yoga, just to sit quietly. It's a good way to, get that bedtime routine and that bedtime hour in a sense of calm, and again, something that you are taking steps to do for yourself because it's going to help you with the good night's sleep. Another thing to consider is to shorten your workouts instead of skipping them. Again, sometimes we don't always get to the gym. Sometimes we can't always get out and move, and then we beat ourselves up that we can't do anything that day. But the fact is you can do something. So there are ways to work it in. This is a fun idea too. I heard somebody the other day talking about this, and I myself need to get back to it, is, when you get done with dinner, you get your dishes cleaned up, turn the music on. Everybody just bop around and dance and have some fun. Again, that's just going to help a lot of different areas of our life. Do it with your family, do it with your dog. Gosh, the dog's getting a lot of attention today. Just have some fun, move the body. So these are some fun ways that even if you didn't get that workout in that day, you can still stay active, or take a walk after dinner. Love that idea. Boy, that is really good for insulin sensitivity as the bedtime hour is coming close. So you can tap into that as well. And another idea, again, these are some swaps or some ideas that you can do for the new year, is add one protein forward meal a day. So protein forward meaning that you are obviously prioritizing protein in that meal. I always say breakfast is the best. Our body can utilize and really need that protein in the morning. It's a good jump start, keeps us satiated, keeps the energy even. It also helps with blood sugar, and it's a jump start. Again, we're saying, okay, protein's important. Let me begin my day with this protein power-packed breakfast, whatever time that is. And that's something that you can work out as far as what the best time for you to have your first meal is. But prioritize protein is vital. Do a 5-minute morning check-in. I sit in front of my bay window, I have my coffee, and I get into the Bible every morning. So this is definitely my check-in time. I love it when it's quiet. I can write down a few things that I need to be thinking or focusing on that day, what my plans are. I write down what I'm grateful for, and it's just a nice time to set the tone for your day. And I really enjoy this opportunity, and I hope you do too. But check in, asking yourself, how do I feel? And what do I need today? What will this day give me? What can I give back to this day? And again, center yourself around that. So pick just one. Let it be your start now moment, not your January 1st moment, but start now, right? So maybe December 28th is something that you do, right? So we can kind of get a jump start on that before the year actually kicks in. So if you want support making these shifts in 2026. I'd love to have you in my group coaching program. It's designed for women in midlife, especially women managing type 1, who are ready to stop guessing and start training in a way that matches their physiology inside and get tailored exercise plans, guidance on hormone decisions, accountability. Again, to stay in touch with you, we don't have a whip or a stick telling you what to do and how to do it, but it really is about conversations, support, hearing other women, because most of what we are all going through is so similar, and it's so reassuring and really validating when you can hear other women. And again, you can just bounce these ideas back and forth with each other and myself. And it's a community of women walking the same path. So we would love to have you join us in the new year. And if you want one meaningful shift for 2026 that actually sticks, this is the place. Definitely join Type 1 and Midlife community. And you can find out more right here in the show notes. There's a link in there. We always offer a 14-day free trial. You can come in, sit into a few Zoom sessions. You have a chance to schedule a one-on-one session with me, which is part of the monthly membership as well. That comes along with it. You get time specifically with me, and we can walk specifically where you need and what you need help with. So as we wrap up today, here are my 3 takeaways from 2025. Doing less. Number 1 was doing less can lead to better results. Your midlife body needs smarter training, not harder training. And one small shift can change your entire year. Start with that one thing. See how it feels. See how you feel. See how your body responds. And it'd be amazing how that builds your confidence, where you're saying, I did that. I'm feeling this. Let me try something else. And then that'll give you an opportunity to bring another shift in. Doing less is not backing down. It is choosing what finally works before the day ends. And name your one small change for 2026. Say it out loud as you're listening to this. What is one thing that you know? And write it down. Let it guide you into the new year. And I am wishing you a warm, joy-filled Christmas holiday. And I look forward to starting the new year with you. And until then, have a beautiful day. Bye for now.